It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyrone Lowe. This is my show, The Legends. And in the House of the Legends, I have Mr. Tim Wayne, aka DJ SoundScience. What's going on, Tim?
Not too much, man. How you doing?
All right. So tell the viewers where you're based at and where you're from.
Okay. I'm based in the Washington, D.C. area, also known as the DMV. And I've been here about 22 years, and I'm originally from Columbia, South Carolina.
All right, now that's a good thing. So let's talk about the beginning for you, as far as your music craft and how did you actually enter it?
So I've always had even as a little kid, had a little fixation with DJs, had a fixation with extended mixes on the radio, wanting to beatbox, wanting to, kind of remix songs in my head, do edits of them in my head. And that kind of turned into me doing my own mixtapes, pause tapes, is what I've learned they were called. But I kind of came up with that concept on my own without anybody else showing it to me. So I've always had an affection for dance music, even as a little kid, and the idea of the DJ.
Okay. And back in those days, there were many DJs at the time that were actually legends, or we can say legends now, who actually influenced you, to actually get into, the groove of things.
So I would say probably on a national scale, I would probably say definitely DJ Jazzy Jeff, Red Alert, Cool Herc. But down in South Carolina, we had on the urban radio station there, we had a guy named Wiggy Fresh and another one named DJ Prince Ice, who were really influential for me. But I would say mostly, for the most part, when I was younger, there was a snippet on one of Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince's albums called Live at Union Square. Just kind of listening to what that kind of did to the crowd was, really pushed it over the top for me.
Okay. And at the height of your career, have you did any residence as far as clubs? And
yeah, so pandemic and all, it's been a lot different. But I've played spots here in DC.
Name some of the clubs. Name some of the clubs.
Club 5, a place called Tacoma Station. A lot of times I play the clubs or open for a lot of the go-go bands and pocket soul bands here. But mostly Club 5, Tacoma Station, a place called Mirrors. Those are some of the places that I've played regularly, but it's been a while, with the pandemic.
Okay. Well, we all had to stand out for a little bit, take a little pause due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so for your dance floor, were you just playing house music, or were you just playing different genres?
Actually, no. So when I started really playing, it started off for me in the 90s. It was mostly hip hop, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But before I really got into hip hop, what I thought in my head back then was hip hop actually wasn't. It was a lot of electro funk, if you will. So your Planet Patrols,
right?
Your Nucleus, a lot of Latin freestyles, so
right?
Lisa and the Cult Jam. So it was a lot of that stuff early on, and in my head back then, not knowing any better, Hashem, all of that stuff. To me it was rap hip hop, but now as I got older, I realized it's not. It's dance music. It's club music.
Okay. Well, I think back in those days, it was catered more to the break dancers.
Right.
Actually, you would see them actually perform. New York City, we seen them at the New York, in the subway stations and various other clubs. skating rings, and they used to be out in Times Square just freestyling, for money and stuff.
Right.
And that was the type of music they played. So let's take it forward. How did you get more into the house music scene?
So house music has kind of always been a part of me.
Okay.
I think I know that this is, when you look at it, it's kind of pulp and kind of pop and kind of corny, but that first Lisa Stansfield album really did something for me. That first Diva album really did something for me.
Mm-hmm.
When I was coming up, there was this kid around our way. He used to always get in talent shows, and he would always dance to, Soho hot music. And that really didn't play well back then for that,
right.
for that geographical area. But I kind of digged it. I always dig the CeCe Pennisons and the Crystal Waters and stuff. And it got to a point where hip hop just didn't do it for me anymore.
Right.
And hip hop was starting to move away from the things that I like, the soulful chords,
right.
the hard organic drums.
Right.
And so I really started listening to a lot of old Sal Soul, Prelude type stuff.
Right.
And I think I might have copped a few DJ CDs. It might have been a DJ Spinner mix that I thought was going to be a bunch of breaks and break beats. And it ended up being pretty much just an all deep house thing. Right. And from there, I just wanted more.
No, this might sound like a corny question, but I'm just anxious to really know what the question is going to be. I mean, what the answer is actually going to be. Mm-hmm. How does music affect you for your inner self? How does it spark you? How does it deal with you mentally and spiritually?
So music for me is almost like one of the first things that comes to mind when you ask that question is it's almost like a family album, a photo album, or a scrapbook for me.
Okay.
So today, for example, if I hear, Glenn Jones, show me what I gotta do. Mm-hmm. That's going to take me back to a place of like where I was when that song was out.
Right.
Music. I don't know. It's just it's the background music to my life. Mm-hmm. But when I'm able to take music, through years and through decades, it allows me to kind of stir up emotions that are meaningful to me.
Right. That's cool.
Across the timeline of my life, if you will.
So when you're playing for a crowd and you're doing production for a crowd, mm-hmm. what type of energy are you expressing from yourself to them? And what are you looking back? What are you trying to get back from them?
So I kind of divide up music into two genres.
Okay.
There's listening music and there's dance music. Mm-hmm. And I want to, if someone can dance to my music, I'm grateful for that. But most importantly, if they can listen to it, enjoy it, and I can stir up a vibe, stir up emotions, mm-hmm. Then I've met my goal. And I kind of feel like, the minor 9 chords that you find in house music, the bass lines that you can feel, mm-hmm. The powerful messages, they tend to stir up those emotions for people. And that's what I hope to do.
Afro, soul, or deep, which affects you more as a DJ?
I would say soulful. Your Blazes, your At Jazz, your Masters at Work. I was really big into kind of the Afro house, but Afro house is really, it's really shifted. I don't have a problem with it.
Right.
But it's really started to shift in like the last 3 or 4 years to me. So I'm really, my wheelhouse, I think, is soulful.
Okay. So in your sets alone, would you play more soulful than you would actually play Afro, or would this be a combination of everything to the part where it's integrated to make the set sound grand?
It's going to be everything. I try to start off with and it's almost how I name my crates and my playlists and stuff. I try to go from what I call like your daytime blue type stuff, your warm up type stuff, to your more soulful stuff, to then your, I won't even call it tech house because it's not tech house, but your really forward to the floor, your really 808, 909 heavy type tracks. And then getting into the Afro stuff that's kind of a wind down late night feel. So I try to make it a journey. I don't try to be, in one place over the course of, any setting. I try to, take you from here up to here and then bring you back home, if you will.
So in Washington, D.C. right now, who would you say will be the hottest radio personality right now?
That's a dynamic question, man. I couldn't tell you the last time I listened to terrestrial radio, to be honest with you.
Well, don't feel bad. I don't listen to the radio at all.
yeah. I haven't listened to and when I do listen to the radio, when I do listen to XM radio, I'm mostly listening to NBA radio. And if I'm not doing that, quite honestly, I'm listening to somebody's mix on Mixcloud or Spotify or Tidal. But the biggest name here over the course of the years, I would say, would have to be DJ Flex, not Funkmaster Flex, of course, but DJ Flex. Or DJ Cool, I would have to say.
All right, well, Tim, we're going to take a little break and we're going to listen to some of your tracks, and viewers listen to it, and when you see them, give them some feedback, give them some accommodation, and we'll be right back.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
We got some fun people in the house tonight.
This is our house.
Really down, playing the games you do. Someday, everything will be alright. I know that different people make the world go round. Because of you, my dreams are coming true. You're the sun that erases my rainy day.
Right now, I don't care who's watching.
For whatever the might be.
With you, love by my side, the world will be mine. You're the one for me.
Yeah.
Hey, we're back. My name is Tyrone Lowe, and this is my show, The Legends. And we have Tim Wayne, a.k.a. DJ SoundScience in the house. What's going on, Tim?
I'm here, man. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Great. You know, the track that we just heard, tell the viewers the name of it and how you actually came across it.
So that is One Night Stand by Mona Baudet. Came out in probably about 2012, 13. That is on Cyber Jams Records,
Right.
and that's a piece that Mona did, and Sammy, the owner at Cyber Jams, sent it over and asked me to do something with it, and I came back with that.
And let's give a shout out to Sammy Rock.
Absolutely.
Cyber Jams, hey, still doing this thing, and we commend you and we accommodate you for just who you are. Absolutely. The name itself speaks for itself.
Yeah, right.
And so, as far as production, when did you actually start doing production, and what was actually the name of your first track?
So in terms of, I've been doing hip hop, production since the '90s, since the mid '90s. My first house track was 2009, 2010.
Okay.
It was "Gave You My Heart" by Heather Walker.
Okay.
I had I've been doing stuff. Anybody who does music, they do it all the time. They got stuff that never sees the light of day.
Right.
So I've been doing a lot of hip hop, working with a lot of artists who never really things never really manifested for them, and so I kind of got into shifting that tempo up and started doing a little bit of house stuff.
Right.
And finally just kind of said to Sammy, put me in, coach. You got any projects, ship them my way, and I'll be more than happy to try remix. And I'm pretty proud with how that one came out. We actually got to perform it at WMC that year, and that was the first one.
I want to shout out to my manager, Sapphire, aka Sheila Johnson.
Yeah.
Hey, baby.
I got a track with her too as well.
Well, you know what, man? I'm kind of like mad at her because I sent her a track about a year ago, and she still ain't do my track, but I ain't mad at you, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you get around to it, but that's my girl. That's my sister. You know what I'm saying?
I know her about 10, 11 years now.
So Tim, what have the pandemic actually did to you? Did it actually increase you, or did it decrease you in a sense of production or things like that?
It increased me, man. I would say between 2010, 2000 up until about 2015, I was busy in this house thing, man, cranking out remixes for people.
Mm-hmm.
I do a podcast that's about 12, 13 years strong now, that does pretty well. And I had, it wasn't just a pandemic. I had little people coming to my life. I got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old now. And it was really tough to get down here in the studio and do stuff, really tough to really do mixes, really tough to stay up on the music.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd really kind of taken a hiatus. But this pandemic, man, it's left me with a lot of time on my hands, a lot of creative energy, bulging in me. So I'm back at it, back at production, back at doing my podcast regularly. And I'm even doing a weekly show on Twitch, a stream show. That wasn't happening for the pandemic. So since before the pandemic. So in that sense, I know the pandemic has been, really trying and troubling for people, but in that sense, creatively, it's been a blessing for me.
Okay. So it actually gave you a chance to reinvent yourself in a sense.
Right.
And dig into the archives and reinvent them and then actually administer them.
And get that love back. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's good, man. there's a lot of guys out here that's doing it, production, artists, singing, remixing, and things like that. And through your experiences, do you have any suggestions for them?
Take your time and don't cut corners. Listening to the track you just played, I was just listening to him like, man, on that one, I really took my time and really was really intentional about every part. I actually played the keys on that by hand, and I don't even know how to play the piano, but I really took the time and played that, all the synth parts, how I, added those little elements.
Right.
Take your time. It's okay to work on something, not like it, save it, name it properly, put a date on it, come back to it months later. You'll finish that track at some point. Just take your time and don't cut corners, but do what you love, do what you feel.
That track is well put together, and I can tell just by the elements and the chemistry of it that it was taking some time, to really create that industry. So, spoken words, what's your collaboration on that?
Sometimes it's really just them sending the piece. With a spoken word artist, it's got to be something that comes from them, comes from their soul. If you write a piece and that you want somebody to speak, it's not going to sound as sincere as something that they've written themselves. So when I get pieces from like Sapphire or Mona or anybody else, I just take it. But what I try to do is I try to put it in my project and kind of warp it so that certain words hit on the beat.
Right.
To kind of make their voice become a rhythm section for the track, if you will. So pretty much in terms of spoken word, the content, the voice, the energy is all them. I just try to match it with an appropriate track, and like I said, make their voice the rhythm section of it.
Would you say that spoken words is downgraded or upgraded in a sense to the industry? The reason why I ask that, because I've talked to a lot of people about spoken words, and I've had a lot of mixed messages, with it. So, what would be your input on that? What would you say about that?
I can kind of get. My guess would be that anybody's gripe with it would be is that it's a cop out from having a singer. And people want to do vocal house, but a lot of people think that having a spoken word artist is just a shortcut to getting to vocal house. I do not believe that. I think it's always going to be a place for it. There's some great vocal house tracks out there.
Right.
The Mirror Dance remix, the stuff that Brown Sugar does. There's a place for it. There's a place for it.
So Tim, quickly, any shout outs?
I want to give a shout out to you. Anybody who takes time out of their own schedule to lift other people up should always be commended. Want to shout out Sapphire, of course, for hooking this up. I want to shout out Les Calloway, who runs Soulful House Music Collage, Sammy Rock, of course, who runs Cyber Jam's Internet Radio, and anybody who's taking the time to listen to this today.
Okay, so there it is. This is my show, The Legends. This has been another T-Lo Video Productions, and get with this brother right here, because he has some monster tracks, and support him, and support other artists as well. And like I said, this is another T-Lo Video Production, and stay tuned for another episode. All right, Tim, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Take care.
All right.
For the love of house,
the dynamic soul sounds of
for the love
DJ
of
Tyrone Lowe. DJ Tyrone Lowe. DJ
That's nice.
The dynamic soul sounds of DJ Tyrone Lowe.
We got some fun people in the house tonight.
This is our house. It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.